So what if I told you that the secret to actually getting more done isn't about working harder? What if it's about strategically doing less? Today, we are unpacking the actual science behind that idea with a guide to, you guessed it, scientific slack.
Let's just start with a feeling, because I bet this sounds familiar. You're buried in tasks, drowning in notifications, and just caught. Caught in that endless corporate rat race. That thing some people call involution, where you're working twice as hard just to stay in the exact same place. It is literally the textbook definition of burnout culture.
But here's the crazy idea, the counterintuitive pitch. What if slacking off isn't giving up? What if it's actually a secret weapon, a precisely calculated move for creativity and, even peak performance? Well, that's exactly what we're here to find out.
Okay, first things first, we have got to get one thing straight about your brain. It is not some magical supercomputer with infinite power. Nope, it's much more like a small business, and it's operating on a very, very tight budget.
You know, the Nobel laureate Herbert Simon basically saw our modern-day problem coming from decades away. He knew that the real bottleneck isn't a lack of information. We are drowning in it. The truly scarce resource, the thing that's actually valuable, is our attention. That's the real currency we should be protecting, but most of us just spend it like it's completely worthless. And this brings us to a really key concept in psychology, ego depletion. The easiest way to think about it is like your phone battery. Every single decision you make, every temptation you resist, every time you force yourself to focus on that boring spreadsheet, it's draining that battery little by little.
For a long time, we kind of thought of willpower like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. But the science now points to a much better model. Willpower is a budget. You get a certain finite amount each morning, and every little decision spends it down until you're just running on empty.
And there's this classic experiment that just proves this perfectly. Picture this. You get two groups of hungry people. Group 1 gets to walk in and eat fresh-baked cookies. But Group 2? They have to sit there smelling those same amazing cookies and eat radishes. Afterwards, the radish group, who had to spend all their willpower not eating cookies, gave up on a tricky puzzle way, way faster. Why? Their willpower budget was already completely blown for the day.
Now, okay, in the spirit of good science, we've got to be honest here. This theory has been challenged a bit. The simple idea of just having an empty tank of willpower, well, it turned out to be a little too simple.
So the thinking evolved. The modern view is that your brain isn't just a gas tank. It's more like a really savvy chief financial officer. It's constantly running a cost-benefit analysis on everything you do. And that feeling of being drained, that's not a bug, my friend, it's a feature. It's your brain's little CFO sending you an urgent memo that says, hey, the return on investment for this task is tanking. Reallocate your resources now. So, if your brain is reallocating all those resources, where exactly do they go? This brings us to the hidden superpower of what your brain does when it seems like it's doing nothing at all.
I want you to meet the default mode network, or the DMN. You can think of it as your brain's secret internal strategy team. It's the part that kicks into high gear the moment you stop focusing on the outside world and just let your mind wander. The key thing to get here is that your brain basically has two dominant modes. When you're laser focused on a task, you're in task mode. But the second you check out, you let your mind wander, you flip a switch over to default mode, and a whole different part of your brain just lights up. It's a switch, not an off button.
So what's this internal strategy team working on when you're spacing out? Oh, just the most important stuff imaginable. It's consolidating your memories, it's planning your future, it's generating creative breakthroughs, and it's connecting totally unrelated ideas. It is literally the source of every single aha moment you have ever had. And here's the problem. Our modern culture of constant focus is systematically starving this vital network. Okay, so that's the science. Now let's get to the toolkit. How do you actually do this stuff? Here are 3 really powerful ideas for intelligent slacking, and they're borrowed from some pretty unlikely places.
The whole guiding philosophy here is the Pareto principle. You've probably heard of it as the 80-20 rule. And it simply states that in almost any situation, 80% of your results will come from just 20% of your efforts. This right here is the absolute core of scientific slacking. Your job is not to do everything. It is to identify that critical, high-impact 20% of your tasks and apply your entire very limited energy budget right there. And for the other 80%, you strategically underperform. You do just enough. All right, next up, a little trick from web developers called progressive loading.
See, a website doesn't make you wait for every single fancy image to load. It gives you the core skeleton first, the important stuff. Then it fills in the rest. You need to apply that to your projects. Deliver the minimum viable product, the absolute core value, first. You can add all the polish and extra stuff later.
And finally, a lesson from video game design. To save processing power, games render the things right in front of you in super high detail, but those mountains way off in the distance, they're just blurry shapes. Do this with your to-do list. Give your current high-priority tasks that ultra-high-definition focus. But for tasks that are weeks away, a blurry, low-res placeholder is all you need for now.
So there you have it, your toolkit. Use the 80-20 rule to find the right target, use progressive loading to plan your attack, and use level of detail to conserve your ammo. This isn't just about managing your time anymore, it's about transforming yourself from a workhorse into a strategic warrior.
And look, this is way more than just a personal productivity hack. This is a necessary rebellion against a fundamentally broken system.
That system is involution. It's that vicious cycle where everyone spends more and more energy on things like performative overtime and polishing PowerPoints that no one will read, all for smaller and smaller gains. It's a game that is literally designed to exhaust you.
To really get this, we have to zoom out. I mean, way, way out. The entire story of human progress is the history of finding smarter and better ways to slack off. Tools saved us from tearing meat with our teeth. Farming saved us from hunting every single day. Machines and AI, they're simply the next chapter in this grand story of strategic laziness.
And that really brings us to the most important point of this entire conversation. Every single leap forward in human history came from inventing a way to slack off on a lower-level task so we could free up our energy for higher-level creation. This isn't laziness. It is evolution, and you are a part of it.
By refusing to play the burnout game, you're not just saving yourself, you're pioneering a smarter, better way to work for everyone. So the only real question left is this: how are you going to slack off today to finally liberate your most precious resource and get your best work done?